was the summer of 2014, and for my son's bar mitzvah present, just like many Jewish parents, we wanted him to bond with the Holy Land. Oh, it worked perhaps too well. My husband had stayed back at the hotel, and our friends, my son and I, had just stopped in a pharmacy.
Run to the bomb shelter, sweetie. Please hurry. I didn't hear the sirens at first, but the Israelis did. They're used to hearing these things. We ran to the back of the storeroom. It was a 12-foot by 24-foot windowless bomb shelter. My heart's pounding. Boom! Boom! I hear it and feel the percussion of the exploding bombs. I'm trying not to get sick. I look at my 13-year-old son and I think I'll never forgive myself if something happens to him.
That's an excerpt from a speech I gave to the Orange County Jewish Bar Association. It was the first, but not the last time we had to run to a bomb shelter. Our adventure and my transformation is also the subject of my book, Blasted from Complacency, A Journey from Terror to Transformation in Israel. There is no chapter in a parenting book on what to do when a war starts and you're on a family vacation. Think touring extraordinary and sacred sites mixed with cowering in bomb shelters. I'm still trying to get over the Jewish guilt of taking my son to war for his bar mitzvah present. The impact of being human targets helped me understand the plight of Israelis living like this, and it also made me want to work on peace. How Israel is often described on the news is not what I'd seen with my own eyes. And I felt Palestinian parents also preferred their children playing safely in their backyards. The missiles exploded just near enough to blow apart my world as I knew it, forever changing me. And you'd never recognize my life today with what it was like then. I believe I found my life's purpose. Hello, I'm Penny St., and I'm the host of Peace with Penny. Welcome to 2022 and the third season of Peace with Penny. It's been very exciting, and at the end of this month, Peace with Penny will be 1 year old. Happy anniversary to us! You saw at the beginning of today's show the why of our working so hard to bring you these incredible people who I call angels on earth. I'm having the time of my life interviewing Israelis and Palestinians who see each other as people and work together toward peace in so many different ways. Yes, Israelis and Palestinians who want to live together in peace really do exist. Today's show is a bit different. Some of the peace organizations that we've interviewed this past year have worked with a fantastic organization called the Alliance for Middle East Peace, or ALMAP. In fact, Peace with Penny has also interviewed both Avi Meyerstein, their founder and president, and Huda Abu-Erkub, their director. In today's show, we are going to look at clips from this year's annual gala, Light the Way, a global celebration of the peace-building community. Why? We had the opportunity to learn about ALMEP, its members, their work, and even their supporters. Why do their supporters choose them to make their donations? So let's get started. ALMEP was founded in 2006, is headquartered in Washington, D.C., and has nearly 160 Israeli and Palestinian peace organization members. They envision a Middle East in which Israelis and Palestinians have built the trust necessary to live together with dignity, peace, and security. Amen. ALMEP has been instrumental in raising awareness of these grassroots Israeli and Palestinian peace organizations, as well as helping to successfully advocate for funds to support them. The $250 million Nita M. Lowey Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, or MEPA, approved by Congress in December of 2020, is just one example that took a decade of hard work by ALMEP to achieve, but through their dedication, it finally paid off. Speaking of their hard work and dedication, let's begin ALMEP's gala with a few words from the man who started it all, their president and founder, Avi Meyerstein.
Hi everyone, I'm Avi Meyerstein, the founder and president of ALMEP, the Alliance for Middle East Peace. It's a real privilege to be here with you and have the chance to welcome you to this special broadcast of ALMEP's Winter Gala, Light the Way. We're incredibly grateful to Penny T for the work she does every day of the year to raise the voices of the peace builders so that they can get the support that they need from all around the world. And we're particularly grateful that she's hosting ALMEP's Winter Gala here for all of you. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy the gala, and when you're done, check out almep.org so you can learn about ways that you can become part of this big push for peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Avi. It's a great privilege to share ALMEP's work, and as you know, it brings me great joy to work with these incredible peacemakers. Before we go any further, let's hear from their supporters why they choose ALMEP.
I support ALMEP because
they make a real difference.
They empower Palestinian and Israeli peace builders.
They give me hope for peace in the Middle East.
As an ALMEP supporter, I see an incredible impact for my gift.
Honestly, I know no other organization where my support goes so far.
The Alliance for Middle East Peace is the largest and fastest growing network of Palestinian and Israeli peace builders.
Over 150 grassroots organizations that are flipping the script, doing the hard work of bringing Arabs and Jews, Israelis and Palestinians together.
ALMEP's purpose is to support and scale its members' work.
How do they do it?
In two interconnected ways.
First, ALMEP's expert on-the-ground team provides services to its members.
All kinds of essential resources and programs based on cooperation.
From training and advice to capacity building, crisis management, and more.
All the things that these peace builders must have to thrive and grow.
Empowering thousands of people to bring change to millions.
Helping Palestinians and Israelis become partners.
Building lasting and sustainable peace.
The second way ALMEP supports its members is by unlocking remarkable amounts of money for their work.
Over the last decade, ALMEP's advocacy has secured over $130 million, mostly from the U.S. government.
And in 2020, they went on to unlock a further $250 million.
The largest ever investment in Israeli-Palestinian peacebuilding.
And all this with a small global team.
No donation I've ever made has had that impact or return on investment.
And there's still more to come.
ALMEP is now working to create an international fund for Israeli-Palestinian peace.
By leveraging that $250 million to move other governments around the world to invest in Middle East peace building.
To create a lasting foundation upon which peace can be built.
To be clear, it's our private donations that allow ALMEP to do its job and unlock these massive funds for the peace-building field.
ALMEP doesn't receive a dime from its government advocacy. Those funds go directly to the peace builders.
That's why I support ALMEP.
Because I've never seen a more strategic or tangible approach to peace building.
Because ALMEP's vision for the future gives me hope that, with the right resources, real peace and equality are possible.
Because, put simply, my donation's impact is huge.
Please join us.
Support ALMEP.
And make Middle East peace possible.
Speaking of the member organizations, we're going to hear from some of them throughout the broadcast, and they'll tell us about the benefits that they derive from being a member of ALMEP. One of the organizations that Peace with Penny had the honor to interview this year was the Arava Institute of Environmental Studies. The Arava Institute offers students a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to immerse themselves in a cross-cultural environment with others who are equally passionate about building a more sustainable future. Their students and interns are comprised of approximately one-third Jewish Israeli, one-third Arab, including Palestinians from the West Bank, Jordanians, and Arab citizens of Israel, and one-third international students, primarily from North America. As we've learned about the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies, what comes to my mind is the Jewish belief in tikkun olam, which is an obligation to repair the world. One of the primary objectives of the AIES is to learn techniques that help society but does not harm the earth. Additionally, Bringing together students from communities that are hostile to one another adds more levels of complexity with the possibility for huge returns. This is piecework at the grassroots level with the possibility to heal torn relationships beyond the personal. So now, let's listen to more about the Arava Institute and their fellow ALMEP organizations.
Okay, hi, my name is Dr. Tariq Abu Hamid. I am the Executive Director of the Arava Institute for Environmental Studies. The Arava Institute is an academic and research institution that focuses on transboundary environmental issues of the region that we live in. We joined ALMEP because it's a great platform that can deliver our voice and our impact to various decision makers and policy makers around the world. It increases our chances of cooperation and also increases the impact that we have on the region. For more information about the Arava Institute, please visit our website at www.arava.org.
Greetings to all on the occasion of ALMEP's global celebration of the peace building community. I am Dr. Thabit Abu Ras, the co-executive director of the Abraham Initiatives. Abraham Initiative is an Israeli NGO committed to a shared society with equality for the Jewish and Palestinian citizens of Israel. By advocacy through action, we operate programs that demonstrate the changes we seek in order to show the implication of policy change to decision makers, to showcase the value of shared society to society as a whole. We joined ALMEP at its inception and are proud to be members. ALMEP embraces our core values, and it's an honor to be part of this alliance for Middle East peace with so many other similarly devoted NGOs. Please read more about our work in our website, abrahaminitiatives.org, and in our Facebook page. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Al-Khalidi. I am a Public Relations Officer at the Jerusalem Center for Women. The Jerusalem Center for Women was established in 1994 in East Jerusalem. The center mainly aims at empowering women to create a strong community where women stand strong and united alongside men. Our mission is to create this community of women who are resilient change makers and enhance their participation in community activism and politics. So basically, our work is we do capacity building programs, we do trainings for women based on women's rights, CEDAW 1325, like gender-based violence, like for example, our Breaking the Taboos program. We also work in the field of conflict resolution and peace building. We have a program for that. And finally, we work in the field of preserving the environment. For example, we have the bread recycling and the plastic recycling projects. We joined the Alliance for Middle East Peace a year ago in 2020. And we did that to benefit from the experience and diversity of other organizations and to find what we can add to our work.
Hello everybody, my name is Hamza Waudi. I am the Regional Manager at Hands of Peace in Palestine. Hands of Peace empowers young American, Israeli and Palestinians to be the agents of change. Their journey starts with a dialogue-based summer program in the United States. We continue to support our alumni as they grow, cultivating resilient and compassionate leaders who work together in a global network in order to build constructive attitudes and systems that foster equality, freedom, and social justice. Hands of Peace joined ALMEP in 2015 to add our voices to the hundreds of others working for peace and justice and to connect our participants and alumni with a broader network of agents of change and activists. If you want to learn more about our work, please visit our website at www.handsofpeace.org.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Nava Chefetz, Education Director of Rabbis for Human Rights. In our organization, we are 130 rabbis from all genders and denominations. We are fighting for human rights, and we believe that human rights can promote peace, and we're very honored to be part of AllMep, our colleagues and friends.
Next, we'll hear from the distinguished U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Thomas Nides.
Good evening from Jerusalem. I'd like to thank my friend John Linden for inviting me to speak at the AllMep Gala tonight. Even though I'm 1,000 miles away in Israel, John, by the way, you owe me a nice dinner in Paris for doing this for you. Even though it's been a hectic first 2 weeks on the job as the ambassador to Israel, I wanted to take a moment to record a video for this gala because I truly appreciate the amazing work you all do. As a coalition of 150 organizations, AllMep helps tens of thousands of Palestinians and Israelis to build connections that promote coexistence, equality, shared society, mutual understanding, and ultimately a sustainable and lasting peace. As many of you know, I come from the business background, but I also was at the State Department long enough to know that it's a critical triangle of civil society, business, and government that work in partnership to build and maintain a democracy and equitable societies, including for the most vulnerable. AllMep represents the best of the all-important civil society component. As Secretary Blinken has called civil society essentially saying, quote, we can't just engage with governments, and governments can't do it alone. Community groups, faith groups, human rights defenders, journalists, and others are critical to the progress that we all want to see. That is why we support initiatives that build on all three sides of the triangle, increase the capacity of civil society organizations, empower the private sector to increase business opportunities, and on the diplomacy side, help create conditions for peace through a negotiated two-state solution. Thank you for all the long and persistent commitments for this cause. We appreciate what you do and know that has often been exceptionally difficult. But bringing people together for conversations that allow us to connect as humans first and foremost is powerful. It's the heart of diplomacy, and empowering those same people to cooperate in meaningful ways to identify and advance goals they share is the only real way to peace. I look forward to doing what I can to support you in this very critical work. Thank you for having me.
It's very important when working on peace to gather as much information as possible from many different perspectives. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is extremely complex, whether speaking regarding across the groups or within. The demographic variability is immense, whether age, sex, religious denominations, political, or educational level. One very important segment is the young, those who have been burdened with living their lives without peace. As an Israeli parent, you have to warn your children of the constant danger if you live close to the border of Gaza. Can you imagine always living with the fear of a terrorist exploding bomb, or that you'd be walking down the street with your mom and she's stabbed, or that a favorite of children, a kite, comes floating along but disguised within it's a petrol bomb? If you're a Palestinian and you want to cross the border, there's this huge wall to pass, and you wait hours at the checkpoint, or you need a permit to cross to go to work, or if your child needs medical attention at an Israeli hospital. What if you grew up seeing machine guns around you as normal, defying soldiers with rocks, or grateful to them for your security? Oy. And the fact is, they'll also likely be the ones who must solve this mess. AllMep partnered with the U.S. Institute of Peace to run a poll and some focus groups to get a clear picture of how the young, ages 15 through 18, view the conflict. Let's listen to the results.
Hi, and welcome to Light the Way. It's great to see you both. John, one of AllMep's biggest projects this year was partnering with the U.S. Institute of Peace to conduct this survey on Palestinian and Israeli youth. Can you tell us more about the project and why it was so important specifically to focus on young people?
Of course. Thank you, Dina. Thank you, Sally. And thank you, everybody, for joining the gala this evening. Many of our members are working with these youngest Israelis and Palestinians, so we thought it was important to know what their attitudes were towards each other, towards diplomacy, final status, democracy, a whole host of different issues. And we also, if we think about it, have to recognize that this is a very different generation of Israelis and Palestinians. I mean, first of all, even the oldest of the people we polled, who were around 21, they grew up after the collapse of the Oslo Accords and into the violence of the Second Intifada and the cycle of Israel-Gaza wars that came afterwards, and also into this paradigm of separation where walls, permits, and checkpoints really prevent them from being able to access each other more than maybe any other generation since 1967. And it's also worthwhile remembering that these are very young societies, much younger median ages than we have in the United States or Europe, for example. So we were delighted to work with our friends and partners at USIP and with Dr. Dalia Shandlin and Dr. Khalil Shikaki, really two of the best pollsters working in Israel and Palestine, to look narrowly at this 15 to 21-year-old cohort, to design a survey and then also to run a series of focus groups that we conducted right after the violence in May. Now, probably surprising nobody, there was some troubling findings inside this poll for all the reasons I outlined earlier for those of us that care about peace in the region. We saw majorities that reject the historical connection of the other to the land, and also majorities that think that violence is the best or the only way to achieve their political goals. But if we zoom out, we know that the programs of our members, these people-to-people peace-building programs, are incredibly effective at halting and reversing those same sort of attitudes. We've had rigorous studies by Notre Dame University, George Washington University, and others that show that they really are a dependable tool in disrupting some of those attitudes. So now we also see that we have large majorities, if we return back to the poll by Dr. Shendlin and Dr. Shikaki, that are potential participants in these programs. We found that less than a third of both societies thought the programming was illegitimate and would not participate, which suggests that under the right conditions, we have large majorities of youth who can engage in these programs, have their attitudes potentially transformed over time, but maybe more importantly, have the chance to sit down together as equals and figure out ways in which they can share this land together as equals in the future and perhaps succeed where previous generations have failed.
Well, turning to you, Lucy, why did the U.S. Institute of Peace want to partner on this initiative? And how do you think the findings shape your thinking and strategy at the Institute around the pursuit of a genuine, just peace in the region?
Sure. Thank you, Sally, and thank you, John. And if I can just take the opportunity to congratulate the entire AllMap team and, of course, all of AllMap's membership on its incredibly hard work and dedication throughout this difficult year. We know from these poll results, as John has indicated, this work is not easy. So as you continue to light the way with your resilience and, yes, also your all too often unilluminated impact, please know there are so many of us inspired by that work that you do. Sally, you mentioned the institute I work for, the U.S. Institute of Peace. We are committed to informing policy, but also to supporting the work of peace builders on the ground, building peace from the ground up. So we see it as essential to make sure that our analysis and our partnerships are very much informed by an accurate view of what the values, concerns, fears, beliefs are of the people most impacted by this conflict. So while the results are sobering, again, as John has indicated, I don't think they argue for urgency, certainly, but not for despair. There's definitely evidence of convergence of views and attitudes here, and possibilities that suggest areas for hope. So, for example, while minorities still support two-state solution, on both sides, there's a mirror image of these societies saying that we still feel that this is the best alternative to any other outcome. We also see that 90% on both sides value the importance of living in a democratic society. And so while this value does get deprioritized when pitted against other national and identity-based values, we know that these values can coexist when both sides don't feel like they're locked in a zero-sum existential conflict. So this work together is really essential to ensuring that both peace and democracy can thrive. We also saw that majorities on both sides respect the majority religion of the other side, also pointed to some strong possibilities of religiously grounded work and interventions. And we also saw majorities on both sides saying that actually regular people could solve this conflict together because it's really just about political leaders fighting over their own interests. So while we know that polls are just one data point, they are a valuable snapshot. And we know that public opinion is dynamic and responds to positive political and diplomatic developments and confidence building measures. So as Sally and John, you both mentioned the Lowy Act and how important it is to provide this opportunity to scale up this important work. I know that John and I and all of us share the hope that this study can help point the way maybe to the right goals and approaches to help maximize the impact and investment of the US and the international community, and of course the investment and time and energy of the Israelis and Palestinians on the ground who are really working to transform their future more peacefully. So once again, Olmec, congratulations.
Thanks so much for this, Lucy and John. And we also have a chance now to loop in the two public opinion experts who conducted this poll and also a series of focus groups that went with them. And that's Dr. Dalia Shidlin and Dr. Khalil Shikaki, two of the region's top polling experts. So my first question is for Dr. Shikaki. What do you think this poll now can tell us about what do you think this poll can tell us who are looking for a path toward a more peaceful and just reality?
I have four things for you that I think are highly useful for those who are indeed interested in pursuing this. Most importantly, there is indeed a great deal of respect for the religion of the other side. This is extremely important in terms of values. We do see that most of the Palestinians, for example, also view all types of dialogue as legitimate. Only a small minority, actually just less than a third, view dialogue as illegitimate. We also find about a third of the Palestinians preferring dialogue over boycott. I'm now just referring to those Palestinians, they're very young Palestinians. And we also find, as I indicated earlier, that there is a great deal of liberalism than the rest of the population, including the youth. The importance of democracy, minority rights, these are indeed things that are similar to what we also found among Israeli Jews.
Thank you, Dr. Shikaki. And what's your take, Dr. Shidlin? We know there is some worrying trends in there, but can you tell us maybe about some interesting openings and opportunities that could be taken advantage of?
Yeah, I think we had some interesting openings in the survey as well, that maybe those were the parts that surprised me. For example, on both sides, we had a majority, over half of Palestinians and about 60% of Israeli young people who believe that the conflict is more driven by political leaders and that regular people could get along on their own. That was a question we asked in just that way. We sort of read that sentence and said, do you agree with this or disagree with this? And a majority on both sides agree with that. That's hopeful because people express that they are open to having a peaceful relationship with the other people. And to that end, I think that also we saw about twice as many who believe that a political agreement can be found that would resolve the conflict, as opposed to the position that no political agreement will resolve the conflict. Now, that's not to overstate the case. We're talking about roughly half, but still a clear plurality who believe that a peace agreement, a political resolution can resolve the issue. So I think that is a starting point that opens things up. Also, I would like to give the parallel data to the points that Dr. Shikaki mentioned about people's openness to dialogue with the other side. Certainly among Israeli Jews, when we asked if they prefer to have dialogue or do they subscribe to the opinion that you shouldn't talk with the other side and rather you should boycott them, most of them prefer to have dialogue. Again, close to half, as opposed to just about a third who would prefer not to talk to them. So there's more people who want dialogue than to boycott one another. I certainly think the respect for one another's religion is an opening. Too often we see religion as a source of friction in this conflict, and too often it does play that role. But the survey showed that on both sides, a strong majority had respect for the other side's religion. And I think even, to my mind, one of the most important shared findings that were really parallel on both sides is that between 80 and 90% view democracy as important. Okay, even if it's not necessarily their top priority right now because they have very urgent priorities, but the fact that when considered on its own, such an overwhelming portion believe that democracy, with its focus on equal rights for all in some political framework, is important. I think those all combined give us quite a number of openings for moving ahead.
So thank you, Dalia and Khalil, and also to Lucy and John for breaking that down for us. That was really helpful. And this poll shows us, right, that the way reality is viewed for millions of young Israeli and Palestinians who have inherited this conflict. That civil society can help light the way to a more sustainable and peaceful future, especially if it's done at scale.
As we've mentioned previously, ALMEP worked diligently for a decade, which resulted in the monumental passing of the $250 million Nita M. Lowey Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, or MEPA. Let's hear from Samantha Power, the U.S. Aid Administrator, who with the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation has been designated to implement the funds.
Greetings, friends and members of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. It is a privilege to speak to you, to celebrate the peace-building community, and to honor all those who are lighting the way toward a brighter and more peaceful future. Those who work for peace between Israelis and Palestinians, as ALMEP has since 2006, know how long and how distant the road to resolution must feel. For decades, there has been a broad consensus, both in Israel and the United States, that investments in the health and well-being of Palestinians benefits everyone, including Israelis. That investing in a girl's education is both righteous and necessary, regardless of which side of a line it occurs on. That a lack of opportunity only fuels distrust and alienation. Yet today it has become controversial to provide life-saving aid to the Palestinian people and invest in their development. Thankfully, each of you understand, as we do at USAID, that peace is not some destination at which we arrive in the future. Peace is a process of building understanding and connection between peoples, a process that bit by bit, amid steps forward and setbacks, builds a foundation for reconciliation and harmony. Through some turbulent years, ALMEP has been the last line of defense for the kinds of investments that address common development challenges, investments that are vital for regional security and peace-building efforts, no matter how political lines are drawn. Many of you see and feel the impact that these investments have had in communities throughout the region. Investments that enhance interfaith dialogue and breed familiarity between rabbis and imams can give communities a chance to quell anger in response to provocation and avert inflammatory rhetoric or acts of violence. Investments that empower women and girls to take on leadership roles in peace negotiations and conflict prevention deliver more lasting stability. Investments to address transnational threats like violent extremism or a once-in-a-generation pandemic safeguard all of humanity, regardless of religion, political party, or country of origin. That's what makes this gathering and this community so special. A recognition that your neighbor's ability to live in peace, free from fear of violence or persecution, to have clean water and basic necessities, to access reliable health services and provide for their family is inextricably linked to your own. Today you have a chance to celebrate the next chapter of a major milestone as we begin to implement the vision set forth in the Nita Lowey Middle East Partnership for Peace Act. I want to recognize Representative Lowey for her vision and determination, and I want to thank the Alliance for Middle East Peace for your tireless advocacy to bring lawmakers together to pass this important legislation. Because of your efforts, USAID and the Development Finance Corporation have committed $250 million over the next 5 years to advance the cause of peace. Together, we will continue to promote shared community building, peaceful coexistence, dialogue, and reconciliation across borders. Thank you so much.
Peace work challenges your beliefs. Do you change them? Maybe or maybe not. One part of peace building, and some would argue the most important, is to listen through dialogue. Try not to judge. You are hearing and reacting to a sacred human experience. You're not required to take their opinions as your own, but to show them the respect and try and understand from their experiences why they feel as they do. At Peace with Penny, I've interviewed many peace organizations, Some who are AllMep members, like Combatants for Peace and the Parents Circle Family Forum, who you'll hear from. If people who were warriors risking their own lives against the other, or from the cruelest conundrum when they have lost a child and are willing to walk across the divide and say, this has gone too far and enough is enough, just stop it. Can't we take the time to try and understand their perspective? Of course, we do, and we must. During the year, Peace with Penny interviewed Combatants for Peace's Elia Alvador and Ahmed Kilu in a two-part series. One, a former IDF soldier, and the other, a Palestinian who's been jailed multiple times, shot, and lives today with the bullet still remaining in his body too close to his neck to operate. Yet, they are both deeply engaged in working on peace. Let's listen to these and other AllMep members.
Good evening, my name is Robbie Damlin, and I joined the Parent Circle after my son David was killed by a Palestinian sniper. We are a group of Palestinians and Israelis who believe in reconciliation and nonviolence. You might say that reconciliation doesn't make any sense because there's no peace in the picture. However, if we do not have this framework for a reconciliation process, we can at best just expect a ceasefire. We are so grateful to AllMep. AllMep have been a friend for so many years and have opened doors in the Congress. And during the last war, many of the Zooms that they had where we met other NGOs were just a solace and a recognition how necessary it is to belong to a group of like-minded people. We would like to offer you more about the Parent Circle. So I think the best idea would be for you to go into our website, and perhaps you would like to invite us to come and do a dialogue meeting for your congregation or for the people that you know, and also join our newsletter. Thank you.
Greetings from Haifa to all of you, the extended AllMep community. My name is Michael Schnall, and I'm the Regional Director for Pathways Institute for Negotiation Education. At Pathways, we're working throughout the education system and civil society in Israel to provide Hebrew and Arabic speakers meaningful opportunities to connect and explore negotiation in safe, inclusive, and experiential learning environments using methodology developed at the Harvard Negotiation Project. At the outbreak of the pandemic, we designed and implemented a virtual negotiation course for AllMep member organization alumni, bringing Palestinian and Israeli civil society leaders together to explore negotiation in the context of leadership. We joined AllMep almost a decade ago as we shared their belief that cooperation is an essential ingredient to building a brighter future in the region. We continue together with AllMep as they remain both at the forefront of the field and deep in the heart of that work. If you'd like to learn more about Pathways or our ongoing cooperations with AllMep, you can visit our website at pathwaysnegotiation.org or reach out to any one of your AllMep contacts who will be able to direct you right to us. Enjoy the rest of the celebration, stay safe, and thank you for your tremendous and ongoing support.
Greetings from Dubai, and let me tell you about Ropes.
Since early 2017, Ropes has been working to expand the Coalition for Israeli-Palestinian Peace by reaching out to emerging leaders across the Arab world who share our vision of an integrated, post-conflict Middle East that fully includes the states of Israel and Palestine. Our network includes young diplomats, members of parliament, journalists, and business leaders from the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Egypt, Jordan, and many other Arab countries. And with the doors opened by the Abraham Accords, we're now working with them to launch programs in education, climate change, and other fields of impact that connect young Israelis and Palestinians with peers throughout the Arab world. We joined AllMep because across the Middle East and North Africa, a pragmatic new generation of young leaders wants to roll up their sleeves and be part of our movement. They just need someone to show them the ropes.
Hello. Let's switch gears here and listen to a message from Terry and Carol Winograd, two of AllMep's most staunch supporters. renowned for their intelligence and generosity than Winograd or philanthropists who've made the world a better place for decades. Afterwards, we'll hear from the esteemed UK Minister of State for the Middle East and North Africa, James Cleverly, on ALMEP and their alliance with the UK.
Let me start by just saying a few words about how we got engaged with ALMEP. We've been participating in a number of organizations about the future of Israel and Palestine for many years, including human rights and political groups such as New Israel Fund, B'Tselem, and J Street. And although we continue to support this direct action and also litigation work, we have a strong feeling that at this point, we're really in need of deep cultural transformation. All of the negotiations and plans and activities need to be supported by an underlying sense of value that it's possible for Jewish Israelis and Palestinians to move forward together.
We have a t-shirt from an Israeli-Palestinian peace camp in the 90s that says, quote, "An enemy is someone whose story you have not heard." People need to be together. People need to hear each other. People need to think of each other as human beings and have live action together to initiate that hearing. We recognize that the healing of the conflict will take several generations. Hate doesn't go away quickly. And we see a critical need to get started now with the current generation.
We've been inspired by the model of reconciliation that was developed in Northern Ireland. Although it has not been completed yet, it is a lesson that groups in conflict can transcend violence. The funding of the Lowy Act offers resources and new possibilities for a wide variety of grassroots groups that bring Israeli Jews and Palestinians together.
One of the great strengths of ALMEP is its very broad spectrum of group and activities, ranging from sports to computer education to musical performance. By facilitating this wide range of opportunities, it helps reach more people and more kinds of people on both sides of the conflict. We see it not so much as peacemaking, but as relationship building, people to people. That needs to come before explicit moves towards peace.
After many years of bringing people together in ALMEP groups, there are now a lot of young Israeli and Palestinian adults who are participating in the development of the Alumni Leadership Forum, which taps into the growing power and goodwill of those who have participated in people-to-people encounters. As they become the leaders in their societies, they will create a real community of next generation leaders impacted by these transformative programs who can play a pivotal role in shaping a more peaceful future in their respective communities.
We are pleased to have been able to provide financial support. We think maybe our greatest contribution, however, has been connecting people. Joe Braunwald, who was the brilliant former executive director of ALMEP, brought us into contact with this idea when he sent us an email in 2015. He said, "Your commitment to this cause is inspiring, and I feel so lucky it was your insistence on bringing Huda to San Francisco last year for J Street that started the chain of events that led her to be my partner at ALMEP." And Huda wrote us, quote, "What I am doing now professionally is because of you believing in me and in my potential as a woman and as a peace activist. You opened this door for me, and I will always remember that." Huda has been a tremendous asset to ALMEP, and we are pleased to have played a little role in that.
You may wonder why ALMEP needs more funding, having just managed to convince the US Congress to put in $250 million. But that funding does not go to ALMEP. And in fact, ALMEP will need to provide more of their own funding to manage this large effort. So we plan to continue giving generously and hope you join us in contributing. Peace deserves a chance.
Thank you to the Alliance for inviting me to speak today. As the UK Minister for the Middle East, I am grateful for your commitment to building a safer and more prosperous future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. The Alliance and the UK government are united in our commitment to advancing dialogue and understanding. we share the desire for meaningful steps towards a negotiated two-state solution. Of course, we also stand together in our wish to protect communities on both sides of the conflict. The Middle East Partnership for Peace Act presents a new opportunity to advance these goals. And we're in close contact with our American friends on the progress of this initiative, and we look forward to aligning our efforts in the future. Meanwhile, the UK government is already supporting the goals of the Act through our own work. We fund peace-building projects in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories to increase dialogue between communities and a negotiated two-state solution. We also support vulnerable people through our economic development programs. We aim to improve the lives and the living standards by enhancing the supply of electricity and clean water, boost trade and create jobs for Palestinians, and enable greater movement of people and goods to improve economic growth. We must be realistic. The road to a negotiated solution may be long, and there are many obstacles that stand in our way, but that should not stop us from working to lay the foundations for that brighter future. We will continue to focus on improved dialogue and understanding and better protection for the vulnerable. This is how we will improve the lives of Israelis and Palestinians affected by the conflict. I'm grateful for the Alliance's contribution to this, and I look forward to working together on our shared goals.
Next, we'll take a look at the ALMEP team of managers and the programs they run throughout ALMEP. ALMEP supports their members by providing a platform for the peace organizations to collaborate and network, providing visibility and a community to share ideas, work out issues, and discuss options that other members have resolved before. Additionally, they continuously do needs assessments to see how they might help the members improve their effectiveness. ALMEP helped Congress to decide to fund MEPA. Now we'll be able to glean the results of their members using those funds to further expand their work for peace.
I am Huda Abu Arqoub, and I'm the Regional Director of the Alliance for Middle East Peace since 2014. And today I'm going to introduce the team to tell you more about the growth that we've managed to achieve.
Shalom, hi, I'm Dubi Schwartz. I'm the Director of Membership Relations. Over the past year alone, in 2021, we've added 33 new members. This brings our total membership to over 150, 160 member organization in both cross-border and shared society spaces. Together, these 150 plus members make a diverse collaborative network of peace builders. ALMEP provides platform for these members to connect, to share ideas, to showcase their work, and work together towards the shared vision of the future. In service of this network, we are maintaining a community, an ecosystem of peace builders with a sense of belonging to a great group of leaders and activists that are more than the sum of their parts. They know that they should work together, even though they might be different in their theory of change or the field that they're working. It's the full picture, the puzzle that we are creating here. ALMEP provide them with individual consultation, a safe space for cooperation and learning and development, and sometimes we challenge each other.
Hi, my name is Wasi. I am the Regional Program Manager for ALMEP, and I've been running ALMEP Regional Programming since 2018. ALMEP Regional Programming was built on three important pillars. The first one is visibility, and the second one is identity, and finally legitimacy. With identity, we wanted to make sure that the peace-building organization are still able to create platforms where they speak about their message, and regardless of what backgrounds they come from. We created programs that has long-term impact strategy in mind, like the Alumni Leadership Forum. That comes directly from the needs of the field, because we saw that these agents of change that were set to make change inside their society, didn't have the enough impact that we needed them to push in the last few years. So we brought in community managers, directors of programs who work on the ground with Israeli and Palestinian activists, and we started building sort of a platforms from them to amplify the work they're doing and the way that they communicate throughout our membership. On the second point, the visibility, we saw that a lot of our membership having a lot of issues communicating the work that they're doing throughout their platforms, throughout their communities. And we wanted to create something very unique, sort of like a community that speaks on behalf of these individuals. We created storytellers. Mideast Storytellers was built and helped with our partners, Beit of Hope and Bindulum, who came to this project together with some ideas in mind to have a platform for Palestinian Israeli peace builders to speak about their narrative and their experiences, regardless which background they come from. We finished 2 cohorts, and I'd say both of them were extremely amazing, just to create sort of an image of what the peace building community could look like, and we're aiming to have more story added to our website, which is stories.allmep.org. All these programming is very important, but what's also important is to be able to up the capacity of the field in general, and to be able to do it on a larger scale is why we brought in our Scale Hub program manager, Judith.
Hi, my name is Judith, and I am the Capacity Building Project Manager at the Alliance for Middle East Peace. I came in to scale the capacities of our members. Wasim spoke about identity, visibility, and legitimacy, and on those 3 pillars, we decided to do a needs assessment to look at what else is it that our members need, and what specific skills need to be scaled, or can we support in scaling in order for our membership to absorb funding from the Middle East Partnership for Peace Act, MEPA, implement projects in support of their theories of change and prove that their theories of change work, while at the same time fostering a sense of community within our membership. Based on the needs assessment, we are offering cohort-based trainings on strategic planning and resource management, as well as membership-based workshops on fostering identity and increasing networking within our members. We're offering individual consultancies and organizational development with our smaller members who just need a little bit more of a push. And we have a forum in which we convene all other capacity building offerers in the field.
Hi, I'm Avi Meyerstein. I'm the founder and president of AllMep, and at least for this year, a new member of the regional team. Last year from Washington, I got to celebrate with all of you as we watched Congress commit $250 million to a long-term effort to really build a true foundation for peace through partnerships. And this year, I have the absolute privilege of coming here to the region to work side by side with our amazing team and our members and our stakeholders as we really envision and plan for how we can scale up this field. This year, we have the chance of working with people that are turning MEPA dollars into real action and change on the ground as they build partnerships. And I have to say that it's both a humbling and an exciting time. It's humbling because we're only a few months from the last war. And to sit and talk and work side by side with these peace builders is to understand just how much work there is to do and how difficult the work is. At the same time, we can really see for the first time the beginning of an opportunity to make widespread change. You would not believe how inspiring some of this work is to talk to people whose lives have been changed and who feel for the first time that they have partners on this other side and that they have a path forward. So I want to thank all of you for being our partners in this effort as AllMep has been able to grow and expand, and we're now able to work with our members in providing the kinds of resources, the network, the platforms, and the partnerships that they need in order to build that change. Right now they're touching thousands of lives. Just imagine what the world will look like once they scale up.
This is who we are in like a quick nutshell. You might think how do these 5-6 staff members do that? I'm telling you, we dream about this work. We think about it while we are sleeping, but we are here because we believe firmly that this is one way to bring some sort of peace, justice, and equality to our world. Thank you.
In the next clip, we'll show you some ALMEP members. Tech to Peace is one that we at Peace with Penny had the pleasure of interviewing recently. Tech to Peace is a joint Israeli-Palestinian NGO that hosts 2-week-long intensive seminars for young Palestinians and Israelis, blending technology, entrepreneurship training, conflict dialogue, and social activities, along with continued community building events post-seminar. They use the traction of teaching computer skills and entrepreneurship to Israelis and Palestinians, together with the possibility of a startup to align their company with sponsors like Google, Microsoft, and MIT. Wow! To hear about the work and other ALMEP members, let's listen.
Hi, my name is Jake Shapiro. I'm speaking on behalf of Tech to Peace. Tech to Peace brings together young Palestinians and Israelis to innovate together towards a better future and a new reality. Tech to Peace hosts intensive training seminars and alumni activities where young Palestinians and Israelis engage in conflict dialogue, learn high-tech skills, and practice entrepreneurship together. We aim to spread a positive vision of Israeli-Palestinian cooperation and show to society that this type of cooperation is possible. We joined ALMEP because we support ALMEP's policy advocacy activities and their desire to bring more funding to the region. We also support strengthening the peace-building ecosystem as a whole. You can learn more about us on www.techtopeace.com or by following us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram.
My name is Norbert Goldfield. I'm the founder and executive director of a 17-year-old organization, Healing Across the Divides. Our mission has remained consistent, which is to measurably improve the health of marginalized Israelis and Palestinians through community-based interventions. We work with already existing community groups, both in Israel and the Palestinian territories. We provide both funding and technical advice and bring them together as desired by the groups themselves to exchange ideas and learn from each other. We are very much pleased to be a founding member of the Alliance for Middle East Peace, which is really the only organization committed to grassroots building of peace within the Middle East. You can find out more information about Healing Across the Divides at www.healingdivides.org. Thanks so much, and we're so pleased to be part of this event.
Marhaba, my name is Ibrahim Taha, co-director of Sadaqa Raoud. Sadaqa Raoud was founded in 1983 by a group of Jewish and Palestinian students. Since then, it has been active in many parts of the country. We are now based on Jaffa, and we are local Palestinian and Jewish activists who work together to build binational partnership in the society we live in.
My name is Dina Gabdashkin, also co-director of Sadaqa Raoud. Sadaqa Raoud's activities focus on educating youth to be politically and socially active, and on creating a binational community of activists for social change. We do this through facilitated groups and organized socio-political tours of Jaffa. We joined ALMEP recently because we are looking to join a network of people who are working towards a shared future, both in Israel and abroad. To find out more about Sadaqa Raoud, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, or look at our website, sadaqaraoud.org.
Hi, my name is Rayan Amin, Meet class of 2020, and I work with Meet as a CSTA, and I work with the alumni program. Meet is all about building diverse teams and working together to solve hard problems. We teach our students how to leverage between technology and entrepreneurship to build bridges and maybe make a better future for us to live in this region. ALMEP's network and work to secure funding is much needed. It's gonna be a stepping stone for the students, alums, and the program to reach its fullest potential. If you wanna know more, go to meet.org.
Hi, I'm Karen Duboulay, Executive Director of Peace Players International, where we use the game of basketball to unite and educate children from divided communities. Here in the Middle East, we're using sports to bridge divides, change perceptions, and develop leaders between Palestinian and Israeli young people in their communities. Really the most important part being the development of leaders who are going to grow up to be effective advocates for systemic change. We joined AllMep back in 2006, pretty much at the very beginning, because we really consider ourselves a part of a movement. We know that we can't build peace alone, especially in the Middle East, and we need all the help we can get. You can learn more about Peace Players at our website, www.peaceplayers.org, or on our social media handles, Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Peter Ornstein, President of Sustainable Israeli-Palestinian Projects. SIP is a US-based organization that supports Israelis and Palestinians working on projects that benefit people in the region by providing expertise and small grants. We support work relating to water, waste, energy, and environmental education through our Environmentally Sustainable Projects Initiative. Our civil society projects involve conflict management, dialogue, economic empowerment, and language education. We learned about AllMep's wonderful work at a conference in Tel Aviv in 2018. We are proud to be part of this peace-building movement, and we're excited to partner with other AllMep members. We invite you to check us out at our website, sipprojects.org, SIPprojects.org.
Next, we'll hear a few words from Canada's Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development from Canada, Yara Sachs. As you've seen, AllMep is an organization that works with governments around the world to help secure a more peace-filled Middle East.
Hello, bonjour. My name is Yara Sachs, Member of Parliament for York Centre and former member of the Committee for Foreign Affairs and International Development. As a Canadian with deep ties to the region and one dedicated to peace, I'm happy to be here to share greetings and good wishes from Canada for the annual Winter Gala of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. Though we are gathered from many different places, let me acknowledge that I am here speaking to you from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. I am pleased to help celebrate the important work of peace builders and peace building. Canada applauds the work of the Alliance for Middle East Peace. What you and your members do every day helps to promote peace, understanding, and cooperation between Israelis and Palestinians. Canada remains committed to a two-state solution and a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in the region. Such a peace can only happen through the efforts of the parties themselves to achieve a negotiated solution. And any negotiation will only succeed if it is built on strong foundations. This means promoting mutual understanding through people-to-people efforts and innovative initiatives. The members of AllMep lead by example in this regard, through initiatives to build understanding and create conditions for peace. Canada will continue to be a partner in these challenging times. Our support is focused on inclusive governance, peace and security, investing in people-to-people ties, supporting growth that works for everyone, especially people who are living in the most vulnerable circumstances, people who have been marginalized. And all these efforts are strengthened and guided by Canada's Feminist International Assistance Policy, a powerful tool that has been proven transformative. Because when we empower women and girls, we create lasting opportunities for change for families and communities. We are supporting peace building and efforts that promote trust and engagement between Israelis and Palestinians through dialogue and interaction. Many Palestinians continue to rebuild their lives following the violence of May 2021. That's why Prime Minister Trudeau announced additional funding for humanitarian assistance and for recovery efforts. This commitment includes $5 million to support initiatives that advance the goal of a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in the Middle East. Canada remains committed to international efforts that are inclusive and empowering, because that is how we create opportunity and prevent conflict, and ultimately, a culture of peace. Thank you for your important work. Merci beaucoup.
It's one thing to do the great work of peace building, but if you want the word to spread, the ALMEP members need to be able to convey the messages of their hard work to the public. To help them reach that goal, ALMEP has what is called the Middle East Storytellers. Being a writer, my ears perked up when I heard about this project. To reach an audience, it's very important to put forward your authentic self. We'll get a taste of who some of the attendees are and how they've been taught to express themselves. In the months ahead on Peace with Penny, we're looking forward to presenting some of these ALMEP members who are Middle East Storyteller graduates. Let's listen.
My name is Warda. Huda. Yara.
I'm originally from Gaza. Born and raised in Israel.
East Jerusalem, Sheikh Jarrah.
Sometimes I feel that we're forgotten.
I am afraid of that piece of our identity that has to do with victimhood. It's paralyzing.
To be honest, I feel that we've been going from bad to worse for the last 70 years or so.
I'm a peace activist and I live here and fight here and trying to overcome the challenges that we have here because this is my home.
Being an activist, it gives me a lot of power.
The alternative of not being able to do this work is to give up on people.
And I'm afraid of the impact on the Israelis and the Palestinians, on our children and grandchildren.
I don't want any child in the world to live through what I lived.
I believe in the good in people.
I believe that a conflict that we pass on to our children is a conflict that we lost.
I believe in equality.
Love.
If it's worth praying for, it's worth working for.
I believe in peace because I have a choice to fight for the rights of those who don't have that same choice, who can't stand up, speak up to their leaders and their oppressors.
Our focus should be on listening to the story that make us feel uncomfortable.
If you want to break the status quo, move, implement, put words into action, and soon enough, we'll get there.
Bring the voices of young Israelis and young Palestinians into the debate.
And if we can be there, where decisions are being made, where our voices are being heard, the outcome would be different.
Peace is justice. Peace is equality. There is no shame in peace.
The shame is not including many more people who have the same need. Peace is a need.
The final ALMEP members clip begins with another peace organization that Peace with Penny had the privilege to interview. Orly Gold-Hakle, an Israeli, and Amal Abu Ramadan, a Palestinian, are two peace activists that we interviewed in April from Women Wage Peace. Women Wage Peace is a grassroots movement of 60,000 members from throughout the political spectrum, Jews, Palestinians and Arabs, religious and secular, united in the demand for a mutually binding, nonviolent agreement between Israelis and Palestinians to end the conflict, and involving women in the process, in the spirit of UN Resolution 1325. Let's listen as the final ALMEP members describe their efforts for peace.
I'm Vivian Silver from the kibbutz bordering the Gaza Strip. I'm a member, proud member, of Women Wage Peace, an Israeli grassroots movement of tens of thousands of members, Jewish and Arab, religious and secular, from the right, left, and center of the political spectrum. We have only one mission, and that is to advocate and press for a political agreement to finally end the decades-old Palestinian-Israeli conflict, with the full participation of women in all levels of negotiations. We joined ALMEP because we believe in the need for an internationally led coalition of Israeli and Palestinian peace organizations. In a world that only hears about hatred and violence in our region, ALMEP provides a much-needed platform and visibility to share our vision for peace. Learn more about us on our website, womenwagepeace.com. Sign our joint Palestinian-Israeli Mothers Call for Peace. Join our Women Wage Peace Worldwide Supporters Facebook page. help strengthen the call for peace in our region. Thank you.
One of my most favorite things about the Peace Drums project is the fact that this project includes many cultures like Jews and Arabs, and the fact that we all play together and make mistakes together and learn.
And what I really love about Peace Drums is that when I play, I feel comfortable, free, confident, and I really be happy. I just be myself.
Hello everyone, I'm speaking to you from Jerusalem, from the Rossing Center for Education and Dialogue. The Rossing Center is an interreligious organization that promotes inclusive values in the Holy Land. We work both within Israel and we do cross-border work. We work heavily within the educational system. We work with over 60 schools, universities, and teacher training colleges. We've joined AllMep in 2021 because we want to be part of a bigger and wider movement. Because only when we work in collaboration and together can we make change in the Holy Land. You can find more information about the Rossing Center at www.rossingcenter.org, or you can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn or YouTube as well. Just type in Rossing Center and you'll find more information.
Hello, I'm Noah, a Jewish Israeli co-director of Tomorrow's Women. I work alongside my Palestinian colleagues and friends. I think our organization is so incredible because we work according to values I really appreciate, like justice, honesty, fairness, diversity. Hope to change our society. We join AllMep to come together and unite with others working for the same goals. And you can learn more about us on our website, tomorrowswomen.org. You can follow us by Facebook and by Instagram. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Thea Lavin, and I am the Director of Development and Middle East Programs at Regeneration Education. We are working for peace in Israel and Palestine by increasing access to holistic, trauma-informed early childhood education for Jewish Israeli children and Palestinian children. We are honored to be AllMep members alongside our partners Ein Bustan School in Hilf and House of Hope Vision School in Al Azariah. We believe in AllMep because we are stronger together as a united peace movement. Thank you and happy holidays.
Hello everybody, my name is Noah Yammer and I am the Communications Director at Hand in Hand, and we run a network of 7 bilingual and integrated schools and communities throughout Israel with over 2,000 Arab and Jewish students and over 10,000 community members that come together every day to live a shared life and to show everybody who lives here what is possible. And we love being part of AllMep because it helps us connect to a huge network of other organizations and people and activists who are doing this work of building a shared society and envisioning that equal future that we all want to build in this place. And you can find us online at our website at handinhandk12.org, and on Facebook at Hand in Hand Center for Jewish Arab Education in Israel, and on Instagram at Hand in Hand Schools.
So that's the last segment of Peace with Penny's broadcast of AllMep's 2021 Gala. We hope you enjoyed it. We believed it was a great way to start off 2022, speaking about an organization that supports so many Israelis and Palestinians who want to live in peace with each other. Did you have a good time? We'd love to know what you think, so let us know at pennyst.com or on our Peace with Penny Facebook page. Next week, we will be interviewing Khair Albaz, chairman of the Arab Jewish Center for Empowerment, Equality, and Cooperation at the Negev Institute for Strategies of Peace and Economic Development. They are a nonprofit organization dedicated to social change and Arab-Jewish partnership based in Beersheba. Founded in 2000, the organization works to promote sustainable development among communities in transition as a foundation for the establishment of prosperous and equal communities living in peace. Programs operate inside of Israel with partners from the wider Middle East for beneficiaries from across the developing world. They are one of Israel's largest civil society organizations, employing over 200 women and men and engaging 1,300 volunteers. The organization's areas of engagement include community volunteerism, quality early childhood education, socioeconomic development, health promotion, and Arab-Jewish partnership. We hope you'll join us, and for now, may you live in peace, shalom, and salam.